Hi, welcome to Needful Things again. Today we're going to make a cute little baby blanket that you can make larger if you want to. I'm going to do one that's going to be about 30 inches by about 45 inches. So let's get started. And here are the things that you'll need, of course. You'll need the same things that you'll always need. Um, Scissors. Sometimes stitch markers. You may not need them for this unless it helps you keep your place. They're probably not going to be necessary for you if you're not a complete beginner. I think you could probably do this if you were a complete beginner if you just watched the video. A counter, of course. I love my counter. Love it. Don't ask me who made it. Don't know. It doesn't have a name on it. Got it on Amazon a long time ago. And of course a darning needle, which I do keep a stitch marker on because I'll lose it in my crochet box of hooks if I don't. So what we're going to do today, I'm using a 6.5 millimeter hook from Susan Bates. I love Susan Bates hooks because they really grab and hold well. I think this is a Susan Bates hook as well. So this is a 6.5 millimeter, so we're going to make a slip stitch. Boom, slip knot. We're going to chain 85 chains to start the foundation. You can also do a foundation chain with no chains if you want to, but you still have to have 86 stitches at the end. So you're going to start with 85 in your 86 in your chain. Sorry, you need 86 stitches. 86. 1, 86 chains. We have 86 chains. It's about 30 inches. If you measure it out with your tape measure. Then we're going to do one more chain. And then in this first chain here from the hook, we're going to do a single crochet. And that's just put your hook through the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Go into the chain, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Go into the chain, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Very simple. For our first row, all the way across this row, you will be doing single crochets, ending up with 86 stitches. And that's what you're going to do on this first foundation row across single crochets. across. You can, you know, do this blanket in 2 different colors if you wanted to, and you could change colors on the different rows that you like to be a different color. We're going to be doing puff stitches as well. You could make the puff stitches one color and the rest another color. That's you know, using 2 different color yarns. So you know, and even if you don't make a blanket, you still, you know, working on your stitches. You're learning stitches. You're learning how to put them together in a pattern, and then you'll, next thing you know, you'll be making your own patterns. And you know, it's that, it really is that simple. I mean, some patterns are really complicated. You have to, you know, be a more advanced crocheter to do them, but it doesn't mean you can't learn. You know, sometimes I've often started with the most complicated patterns, and through that have learned quite a bit. And you know, there's several people that you can learn from. Of course, I'm one of them, that I like, that do really nice patterns and things. And they also have, you know, their channels on YouTube as well. So we're just going across our row, doing some single crochets. Very simple, very pretty simple little stitch. It's your foundation row. Your foundation row is very important. If you don't, you know, sometimes your foundation row can be a little tight when you start your work. And if you wanted to you could loosen your tension on your stitches a little bit when you do your first row and your chains or whatever, if you want it to be a little looser. The one reason I chose a hook larger than I normally would use for this yarn is because I'm making a baby blanket and I want it to be more, you know, squishy and cuddly, and which, you know, when it's squishy and cuddly, you think, oh, fluffy. So it makes it feel more fluffy, you know, and it's more comfortable for the baby. And, you know, you can do it with a smaller hook if you want and make tighter stitches. You will also use more yarn, and that can be very frustrating when you're a new crocheter and, you know, you haven't learned yet how to meter out your yarn. That's why this pattern will work really good for you, because if you got, say you had 2 skeins of yarn that someone gave you and you're like, okay, I'm going to try to make this blanket, there would be enough in there to make this blanket. You can stop it any length you want. You can make it any width you want. You know, that's the beauty of it. And it's just, it's good to, you know, once you do it, you know these stitches. So then when you see these stitches applied in other ways, in different applications, you'll be able to use them as well. And the next thing you know, you'll be like, oh, well, look at what I did last year, and now look at what I can do this year. Because it's really all about learning as well. As, you know, crocheting is my passion. I love it more than anything. I really do. It's almost insanity how much I do it every single day of my life. I just absolutely love it. But if, you know, if it's something you just want to try and do, then this is a perfect place to start, because you can actually do what I'm doing right here, finish a project, make something that can be used, and feel very accomplished about what you've done. And hopefully by the time you're done with it, you'll realize it wasn't very hard at all, and you're hooked as well. And then you can come back to my channel and visit me quite often, and please subscribe. That's very important to me. It helps me get my videos out there for people to see, and it helps me to be able to keep making videos. And I'm so grateful to everyone that has subscribed. And I mean, most people probably think it's ridiculous how excited I get over, if I get up in the morning and I see 1 subscription, I'm like, oh my God, 1 more subscription. And like, you know, when it's several in one day, I'm like, oh my God, it's almost overwhelming. And it's so exciting. I love it, because it means, A, people like what I make. B, people want to crochet above anything else, you know. So, and for me, it's a passion. So I'm not going to stop whether anybody's watching or not. It's just, you know, I want to share it with everyone. And this is the best way to do it, I think. I mean, I do sell my things on Etsy. I give away a lot of things, and you know, I make things for places that need things like blankets for babies or prayer shawls for people women praying in church, stuff, you know, whatever. I'll do anything to help people. So now we're at the end of our row with our 86 beautiful little, perfect little single crochets like little soldiers in a row. Reminds me of when I used to work at the Radio City Rockettes. So now we're at the end of that row, and on row 2, we're not going to do a chain. Okay? We're going to turn our work, and we're going to go into the first stitch. You have one loop on your hook. We're going to go into that first stitch. We're going to pull through a loop. You've got 2 on your hook, and we're doing a single crochet. Then you see there's 2 bars in that single crochet. There's one here and one here. We're going to go into the second one, this one here on the left. We're going to go right into that loop right there. See? This one here. Just like that. Pull a loop, pull the yarn through, pull the loop through. Now you have 2 more on your hook, which is also a single crochet stacked on top of this crochet. Instead of doing 3 chains that are going to hang out like a swinging arm on the end of your work. And then in the next one, yarn over, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, you've got 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you've got a stacked single crochet here, which you'll see is equal to that double crochet, so you don't have that ugly chain on the end. So you have 2 double crochets. Now here's where we're going to make, we're getting right into the pattern, so you feel like you're doing something. I don't want you to sit here for 2 hours making, you know, 15 rows of single crochets and be like, well, this is the most boring thing ever, because it would be. I want you to feel like you're making something and you're seeing something happen in front of your eyes. And so here we are, we did the 2 double crochets. Now in the next stitch, you're going to yarn over, go through this, go in the stitch, pull up a loop, 1, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3, yarn over, pull up a loop, 4. You got all these loops on the hook. Now we're going to yarn over one more time, pull all the way through those loops. You have the loop that you started with, the loop you just pulled through, that's 2 loops on the hook. Now we're going to yarn over again and pull through both of those loops to make a puff stitch. Then in the next stitch, we're going to do a double crochet. The next stitch, double crochet. Now we're going to do another puff stitch. Yarn over, right into the next stitch. Yarn over, go into the stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Got all that on the hook, yarn over, pull through all the loops, have 2 on the hook, yarn over, pull through those 2. Next stitch, double crochet. Next stitch, double crochet. And now what we have, this is the back of your work, so this would be the front of your work. And when you turn it over, you see how pretty that is? You have 2 puff stitches. That's what you've done so far. Now what you do is you follow that same pattern all the way across your stitches till you get to the very end, where you should end in 2 double crochets if you have the right amount of stitches. And if not, you've got to figure out where your mistake is and pull it all out and redo it, which is also a learning experience. And believe it or not, to this day, I spend a lot of time ripping things out. I mean, it's part of designing a pattern, you know. So now we're doing a puff stitch. Yarn over, pull through 4 times, yarn over, yarn over, that's 4, pull it through all the loops, got 2 on the hook, yarn over, pull it through those 2, double crochet, double crochet. I like to push my your stitch, because you're working from the back to the front, that puff stitch will automatically puff up on the other side, but sometimes I like to give it a little push so that it's more prominent. I like it that way. So in the next one we're doing a puff stitch, yarn over, pull through. In the very next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, 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 pull through all the loops, got 2 on the hook, yarn over, pull through those 2. In the next stitch, double crochet, double crochet, puff stitch, double crochet, double crochet, and here's what you're doing. We'll show you on the other side. It looks like this. It's really pretty. Coming right along. And you know, puff stitch, there's a million kind of puff stitches. I just call them all puff stitches. You can do this in several different ways, but for my pattern here and my purposes, if you want it to look like this is how you have to do it. Yeah. So then you'll just complete that down your row. I'll do a few more with you. We did 2 double crochets. Now we're on a puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through all the loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Double crochet, double crochet, puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through all the loops, yarn over, pull through 2, double crochet, yarn over, pull a loop through, you have 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, double crochet. I'm repeating this because I'm hoping there are people who are learning this, and that will help you, you know, little things like that I think of when I'm actually working on the project. So here we go with puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, then a puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like I said, you could be making this row a different color if you want to. You just tie on a different color and make different color puff stitches. And once you learn how to do it, you'll be like, oh, I can do all kinds of things with this pattern. And even if you can't, you've learned stitches that you can put into other patterns that you can make yourself. You know, isn't that what it's all about? Sharing and learning and spending time together doing something we all love. I mean, wild horses couldn't pull me away from this. Puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Double crochet, double crochet, puff stitch, double crochet, double crochet. I think you've got the idea now. If not, it's easy to rewind and go back to the beginning and start again. And I'll meet you when we get to the end of the row. And we'll go on to the next row. Okay, so here we are at the end of the row. I've done the 2 double crochets here. Now we're going to do a puff stitch. Two double crochets, 1, 2, puff stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, my big yarn blob's attacking me. Then we have 2 double crochets to end the row, and we will end every row with 2 stitches on that end. When it's the puff stitch row, it'll be 2 double crochets on the end and the beginning. We do not chain. Turn our work, and this is what we have. And we didn't do a chain. And if you don't have the right number, gotta redo it. Because redoing it, you can also learn. Mistakes are good, you can learn from them. So now what we've got here, we've turned our work, no chain. And this row, we're going to start in the very first stitch. Pull up a loop, you got 2 on the hook, you got a single crochet. The next one, single crochet. 1, 2. Every double gets a single. Every puff stitch at the top of it, put in a single. Then there's 2 doubles here, single stitch, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and you'll be doing single crochets all the way across the entire row. There'll be a single crochet in each of the double crochets you did in between the puff stitches, and 1 single crochet in the top of every puff stitch. And this is what it will look like. As you go across the row and do your single crochets all the way to the end, and I'll meet you up when we get back to the end. Okay, so you get the picture here. We're doing the single crochets all the way across the row. And I'll meet up with you when you get to the end of the row. So now we're coming to the end of the row of our single crochets. Still have a few left. Here you go, both of your bars in that last stitch. It can be a little stuck in there. Then with the end of the row, that's what we have now. Isn't that pretty? So, once again, we're going to turn our work, no chain, into the very first stitch. We're going to pull a loop through and do a single crochet, go into the left bar of the single crochet, excuse me, and do another single crochet. We have 2 stacked single crochets. Then we're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch. This is row 4. And then the next stitch will be our what? That's correct, your puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull through all your loops, pull through 2 loops. The next stitch, double crochet, double crochet. Next stitch is a puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next 2 stitches are double crochets. 1 and 2. Now let's see what you're doing. Isn't that nice? So you're lining up your puff stitches, and then you'll have the 2 double crochets in between. So basically what you're doing right now is you're repeating row 2. So you're going to repeat these rows. Row 1 was the single crochet, row 2 is the double crochet puff stitch, row 3 is the single crochet, row 4 is the puff stitch double crochet. The next one would be single crochets all the way across. The next one after that would be the puff stitch double crochets, and you just do it as big as you want your blanket, really. But like I said, I'm going to go about 45 inches because the width of my blanket is going to be about 30 inches, and we're also going to do a edging on it when we get finished. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. The edging, I'll do it in a separate video so it won't be too confusing, but we're going to edge this blanket with a really pretty edging, just across the single crochets here, which will be really pretty. And we'll finish off the sides before we do that, so stay tuned for that. Just keep doing this, your pattern here. You're repeating row 2 right now, so you'll be repeating row 1 and 2 for the entire blanket. It's just a 2-row repeat, so it's extremely easy for beginners, and you can learn a lot. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Puff stitch. The next 2 stitches are double crochets. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, then a puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can do puff stitches many ways, like I said, but for this particular pattern, I am using a puff stitch with 4 yarn pull throughs, pulling through 4 loops. Then we'll do a double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. The next is a puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next stitch is a double crochet, and so on and so forth. And you'll just do that across until you reach the end of the row. And this is what you'll have at the end of your row. And you just keep repeating rows 1 and 2, like I said. Or rows 2 and 3, actually. You could repeat rows 2 and 3, would be a lot easier since they're right behind each other. Just repeat rows 2 and 3. Because really all you've got is single crochets, a single crochet row, a double crochet with puff stitch, single crochet, double crochet, puff stitch. So, you're repeating either 1 and 2 or you're repeating 2 and 3. It's up to you what you call it, but it's the same thing really. So yeah, so I'll meet you back up when we get some of that done and see how you're doing. Hello everyone, welcome to Needful Things again. So we're continue working on our baby blanket project. I'm almost at the end of one of my puff stitch rows. So I wouldn't know where you are in your blanket, but I'm sure you may be even done. So I hope you're enjoying this pattern. It's very simple to do, which is why I think it's a very good pattern for beginning crocheters. Because like I said, it moves very quickly. And you feel like you're making an accomplishment, you know, you're learning so much doing this. Because you're combining several different stitches. On the end we have our last double crochet. And are you guys remembering to do your stacked single crochet when you turn on your double crochet row? I hope so. Don't want any of those lanky chains hanging out on the end. So okay, we turn our work as usual. No chain. And this is what your work should be looking like. Isn't that beautiful? And we're going to do a nice border around the edge when we get to that point. So now I'm on my single crochet row, which is sometimes a breath of fresh air after you do that puff stitch row. But if you'll notice, you know, I don't know how far along, you're probably as far along as I am here at least. So the edge, you'll notice how pretty the edge is. It's just so pretty, you know, it stays so perfectly straight and beautiful. And we're going to put a single crochet down that edge after we finish, so because it'll be a single crochet all the way around the blanket. And then we'll do an edging together. So I'm doing my single crochets. What row are you on? Are you on the puff stitch row or the single crochet row? And you know, sometimes I get zooming through and I catch myself, I've done like 10 double crochets on the single crochet row, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Then I have to pull them all out, you know, because it doesn't matter how long I've been crocheting. My mind wanders, you know, and next thing you know, I put a stitch where it doesn't belong. No one's perfect. But that's okay. You just pull it out and do it again. On my single crochet row. So just keep going with your rows, alternating your rows, your single crochet row, your double crochet puff stitch row, single crochet. And remember, when you make your turns, do not make any chains. On the single crochet row, you'll turn and go right into the single crochet in the first stitch. On the double crochet puff stitch row, there's no turn on that chain. No chain on that turn, sorry. That was backwards. Yeah. And then you do the stacked single crochets on the double crochet row beginning. Sometimes I forget that too, and I'll be trying to slap a double crochet in there, but the first stitch on that double crochet puff stitch row is always going to be a stacked single crochet. So enjoy making your blanket, and I'm going to finish and get mine to the end, and then we're going to come back together and make a beautiful edging. I'm going to do mine in this white yarn here because that's just what I have here. I don't like any other color I'm looking at the moment. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So we'll see you shortly to do the edging. Enjoy your puff stitches. Happy crocheting. Okay, so we're at the end of the row of the last row of single crochets in my piece. And that's the end of my blanket. So now what we're going to do is take the yarn that we're going to do the edging with, make a slip knot. Is that what that's called? Stitch knot. Go into that very first stitch, it's the last crochet actually that you just did. Go into that stitch, pull up a loop, make a single crochet, your yarn's attached. It's very simple. Now we're going to do one more single crochet in that same stitch. And we're going to do 2 on each corner. And then you just go, you have every row, and so you'll put one here for the first row of the single crochets. This is for the row where the puff stitches are. Single crochet row, puff stitch row, single crochet row, puff stitch row, you know, all the way down like that. And make sure you try to keep your stitches evenly spaced. It's quite simple edging. Maybe you didn't change colors. I don't know. So I'm doing it in white so you can really see it well because it's pretty with this fabric that I've created. And that's what you're doing, and we'll do that all the way down to the end of the row. And you know, you started with the single crochet row as well, so when you get there into that first stitch on the single crochet row, which will be the end of what we're doing now, that'll be the corner. We'll put 2 single crochets in that corner. So I don't know, maybe some of you made your blankets or your baby blanket, or maybe you made it into a throw or something else. Yours might be a lot larger. You can make it any size you want. And you'll learn a lot by doing it, so it's good practice as well. Sometimes it's hard to get in there, but just get in there and get that stitch and just keep going down. All the way down to the corner. I always try to stay focused where you can see what I'm doing. I hope it does. I try to stay in the center, but sometimes I get carried away with what I'm doing and I'll just have a tendency to roll off. So we're just going to continue doing our single crochets till we get to the end. And this basically is, you know, the side of our work. And the bottom row will be a little more tighter, those stitches, because that was our beginning row, unless you did a foundation row with no chains, and then that makes it a lot looser. But we didn't do that. Maybe you did, I didn't. One in the puff stitch row, and then we're now to the starting row where we started with our single crochet row, the very first one, and in that corner stitch there, we're going to go in that stitch there and make 2 single crochets, 1 chain, and 2 single crochets. And that's what we're going to do in each corner. So we'll go down this side. This is the bottom row of single crochets on our blanket. And you know, you'll just push your way into those stitches. They'll be a little tighter. And you just, you know, put them across there. There's 86 of those little boogers that you got to get in there. Normally I would probably use a smaller hook for this and it would be a little easier. But I'll just push it through there. And see that corner, by doing that, that gives you the little square corner that you need to make it nice and square there. Oh, that stitch is a little tight. And you just keep going all the way across the row till you get to the other corner. And when you get down there to that last stitch, you'll put 2 single crochets in that corner. Just like you did on the other one. You'll just be in this stitch right here. You'll pull up your single crochet in this stitch here. 2 single crochets, 1 chain stitch, 2 single crochets, all in that one stitch on the corner. And then you'll go right into this row doing the same thing down this side. Same thing down this side that you did on this one. On this side. And then when you started, remember you did the 2 single crochets to start there in the corner, in that last stitch there. So now we're coming up to the end of the rows. We've been all the way around the blanket doing our first row of, you know, the foundation row for our edging, the single crochets. So we're going to come up to the end of that, which means we're coming up to that very first corner that we did with the 2 single crochets. But we want to make that, you know, to fit with our other corners. So I'll show you what we're going to do when we finish up on that last corner. I'm just going to try to pull those baggies out of the way. This arm. Okay, now we're to that same, now you're going to go into the same stitch where you did those 2 stitches at the beginning. The very same stitch. So we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 chain, and then in the top of that first stitch we're going to do a slip stitch and bring our stitches together, and our corner is done. Now it's getting bigger, it's falling off my table. Pull some more yarn down. Okay, so now we finished that corner. We're going to just chain 1 to help that stay a little more secure. Now we have 2 stitches there. In the first stitch, I'm going to pull a loop through. We already went on the hook, so we're going to do a single crochet, 2 single crochets, just like we did when we started the row. We'll have 2 single crochets. If you need to, you can put a stitch marker in there so you don't get lost. But now you have two. There's one and there's two. Okay. Now we're going to start this. It's going to be one single crochet, two single crochets, three single crochets, then we're going to chain three. One, two, and three. Then we're going to go back into the same single crochet in between both bars of the stitch. My hook's so big. Pull it through and just pull that through, slip stitch that. Go right into the next stitch. Single crochet, one, two, three, chain three, one, two, three. Go back into the bottom of the first stitch, single crochet into both bars of the stitch and slip stitch it in there, and then go into the next stitch, one single crochet, two single crochets, three single crochets, chain three, one, two, and three. Go into the bottom of the stitch, go in between the two bars, slip stitch that chain down. Next stitch, single crochet one, single crochet two, single crochet three, chain three, one, two, three, go into the bottom of the single crochet, go under both bars, slip stitch it in, single crochet in the next single crochet, one, two, three single crochets, and then what? That's right, chain three, and that's what it's going to look like, and you'll do that all the way down. Isn't that pretty? So you do that all the way down the row. I'll do a few more with you, so we're going to pull that one in under the bars, slip stitch it, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, one, two, three chains on top of that single crochet, go under the two bars of the single crochet you just made down there, pull through a slip stitch, go into the next single crochet, one, two, and three. And that's what you're doing. And it's sort of like a picot stitch, or I guess it is a picot stitch. And we're going to do that all the way around. To the corner. And when we get to the corner, I'll show you what we're going to do there. Okay, so we're coming to our corner on our picot stitch row, which is the single crochets and the picot stitch. So I'm coming to the end of that corner on my work. I'm going to chain three, slip stitch into the bottom of the single crochet, three single crochets, one, two, three chains, slip stitch into the bottom two bars of the single crochet, and we have one, two, three single crochets. Now we're coming to the corner. You see, we're coming to the corner there. where we have our 2 single crochets, a chain stitch, and 2 single crochets. There's the chain, that's the middle of the corner. So what we're going to do here is we have, since we have that, we have 1, 2, 3 stitches. The middle is 4. So instead of, we're not going to do a big old picot popping out in the corner. We're going to count our stitches. 1 single, 2 single, 3. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, and then we're in our middle stitch. So in there we're going to put 1 single, 2 singles, 1 chain, 1 single, another single, like that. And you have 7 stitches on both sides of that. And then on this 7th stitch, we're going to do the 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, picot, and then 3 more single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. So that's your corner. Get this out of the way. And that will be your corner. And the other way you could possibly do it if you didn't like this corner is you could have your picot here, then you have 1, 2, 3, do a picot here, and then just do your corner. You could also do it that way. So you can do it this way as an alternative way to do it. I can show you another way to do it. So here we have our 3 stitches back on this side from the corner. You can do 3 more here. There's a couple of ways you can do this. That was one way. That little stitch can be so difficult sometimes to get into when it's a single slip stitch. And then we have 1, 2, and then we're in the middle. We're doing 1, 2 single crochets, 1 chain, 2 single crochets. And then we did 1, 2 here, so we have 4 in here now, and we're going to do 2 here. 1, 2, and the third one is going to be a picot. 1, 2, 3. Get through those 2 bars. Pull through that slip stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And you can do it like that if you want a tighter corner, and if you want more picots to the edge, you can do it like that. Either way is fine. For me, I prefer to do it this way because it just makes it look more even. But if you want a wider one, you can stop at this picot and do 7 stitches to the corner, 7 stitches to here. Or you can just do it this way and do the picot, 1, 2, and then the 2 singles, the chain stitch, 2 singles, and 2 singles here, and then the 3rd single with the picot. And so then what you have when you get done is a really beautiful blanket. And you can give it as a gift. trying to get this yarn out from under it. It's so curly. There's the close-up for you to see the corner. Or if you did it the other way, it'll look the other way. So I hope you enjoy this pattern. It's free. It's all there for you. You can look at that video as many times as you need to. I can hold it up closer if you want to see the pattern a little differently. The puff stitches. It's a really pretty pattern. Enjoy it. Never stop crocheting. Thank you so much to all my subscribers.